Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Better Thyself. There was a young man. He was a daydreamer. And when he was 16, he dreamt that he would be happy if he were riding on a moving light wave at a constant speed, say like a surfer. And then what would happen to him? Given that he was traveling at the same speed such an instance, he thought that the live wave would appear frozen to him. Appear. This young man of 16, a daydreamer, when he thought of this, he forgot possibly. But the idea germinated in his mind. And when he grew up, he changed the very basis of modern physics. Rather, he laid on the concept of the modern physics, where the base was seen by him in this thought. And he was Albert Einstein. He didn't know at that time that when he was dreaming, it would lead to the downfall of the most impressive work done in physics in the last few centuries. And this dream of his, when explained in a proper manner later on by him, changed everything. And he was a daydreamer. Now this would show itself that the parents and the teachers who often ridicule their children for daydreaming are barking up the wrong tree. As a matter of fact, I firmly believe that the behaviors that have been chastised, criticized, condemned till now as being unproductive by most of the cultures, almost beyond acceptable limits, are really the most useful. The funny thing is that the brilliant insights spurring out of the deep thought are not unique. So what happened to Einstein was not unique. Throughout history, ranging from Darwin to Nietzsche, have attributed much of their genius to the many hours they spent lost in their mind, when they were daydreaming, when they were lost in doing nothing. Darwin had a thinking idea that he would walk down to ruminate. And Nietzsche is very famous for having strolled around the nature for hours and hours to make sense of his ideas. So is it just a coincidence that these things happened, say, in the time of Einstein or Darwin? No. This is basically what I call a 2-hour genius rule. Don't be shocked. Each human being has a streak of genius in him. And until and unless you permit that genius to flower, you remain an average person. Only a genius lost in the daydream can flower. And it's a daydreaming. It's a state of doing nothing that is often the bedrock of all great achievements, be they philosophy, be they economics, be they political science, be they political thought, be they physics or chemistry or biology or whatever. As a matter of fact, if we study it, what happens when you daydream? You let your mind wander. The outcome is consistently more productive when dealing with the complex problems, and then come up with the creative ideas. In the field of education, there's been a lot done on the reflective thinking. A healthy amount of daydreaming and reflection enables memory consolidation, and that allows all non-linear connections to form, which help you ability to break down and target issues. If you're working all the time, you do not have energy or capability left to analyze and break down and target issues and look at them through a new lens. Why people hire consultants? It's only because they are objective. They are not burdened with the set ideas, and they look at the things through a new lens. And you can do it. You don't have to pay the consultant who has the time. He'll tell you the time and walk away with your watch. So, the daily mind wandering is in fact a sine qua non of creative capability. The parents who normally say that the children should not daydream, the teachers who say that daydreaming is a waste of time and a sign of onset of lunacy, are a breed that crush all individuality, all capability, all creativity. So, why? Why do they do it? They do it because they've been taught like that. As a matter of fact, a deeper and more purposeful effort cannot yield the disproportionately greater reward than the daydreaming does. I myself personally block a 2-hour period every day just to think, just to enjoy. I go out in the back of my deck, walk down barefoot in the grass, lost in nothing, just enjoying, just thinking, just losing everything, and then dreaming. Dreaming of the condition of the world, dreaming of the thoughts of the people, dreaming of the young love, dreaming of the old times and the future times. I'm transported by the time machine, either into the Garden of Eden, and I see Adam and Eve having their first marital spat, or I'm transported to 22nd century and see how the world would be at that time, how the things would change. And I remove all, when I'm daydreaming, I remove all distractions, especially my phones. I'm away from the computer at that time. And people can tell you that they have called me and didn't hear any response. But after about 10, 20, 50 minutes, I call them back because I see the missed calls and I call them back. I basically create a cocoon around myself, question myself, question my work, and question my lifestyle. Now, what happens is, 2 hours is a very long time. And some of you will feel unproductive and not at all capable of thinking how these 2 hours are structured. So I thought today, when I discuss my 2-hour genius rule with you, I'll tell you how I structure my daydream. My daydream is structured. It's not empty rant and empty rambling of the mind. And the few questions I reflect are very simple. Am I excited of what I'm doing? Or am I moving in an aimless motion? Are there trade-offs between my work and my relationship well balanced? What opportunities am I not pursuing that I potentially could? What a small thing it would be to produce a disproportionate impact. What would probably go wrong in the next 6 months of my life? And I have been daydreaming on these lines. Not now, but possibly when I was a kid. When I was 6 years old, I dreamt that I am in America. So I went to my dad and said, well, look here, before coming to you, I was born in America and my name was Half Oak. At that time, people didn't know what Half Oak is. But then, anyway, it might have been there or whatnot. And I imagined things which I thought would be in America, and they were never there. But that gave me an urge to travel, to have a wanderlust. I can honestly say that the highest return activity in my life is when I'm doing nothing, because it forces me to balance the long term and the short term. And I catch problems before they can become problems. And if they become problems during my wanderlust, during my time of doing nothing, I come up with the idea that solve those problems. I've stumbled into efficiencies and ideas that I wouldn't have come across otherwise. Interestingly enough, much of the value does not come out of the routine questions, but from the time I have left after I run out of what to think. Absolutely nothing, blank. And then, like a flash of lightning, things come. And this is what happened with Einstein, and this is what happened with Darwin. You see, the story of Darwin is the same one. He was thought immersed, and then he went out. And suddenly, the evolution dawned upon him. So, daydreaming is important. Now, one thing I like to tell you, when I talk of the 2-hour genius rule, it's not necessarily 2 hours. 2 hours works for me. For you, it may be half an hour. It may be 1 hour. It may be 5 hours. So, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And this is an idea I think can serve a lot of people well. What happens is, we are in the habit of not doing things deliberately. We may not do things, but deliberately we don't say, okay, I'm going to take a break. And no distractions and no guilt. People often, when they are doing nothing, they say, whoa, I wasted my time. That's the most stupid thing you can do. You have not wasted your time. You have, in fact, employed your time to the best of your capability. So, although it's a very small sample size, you can be sure that whether 2-hour rule you adopt or you adopt half-an-hour rule, just like Darwin and Nietzsche, you would have struggled with their creativity if they had not gone on their walks. Now, as I said, it's not an ironclad rule that you have 2 hours. It's a sample size. You can try for yourself. It's not also a magic bullet that you stop all work and start daydreaming and you come up with a genius idea. No. What it does is it supports your reflective thinking. And when you're dreaming, your intuition, your mind has full control on you. And then you come up with an innovative solution to the problems. Some people think that 2 hours is a long time just to think. Maybe for them shorter work better. Fine. Try for 1 hour. But if you can let your mind play and ask you good questions, then the deed is done, because by getting your mind into play, you are permitting mindfulness to rule, and that will sharpen your intellect. It can be quite easy. Let me tell you very frankly, it's very easy to neglect something as simple and straightforward as saying that just taking time off is wasteful. And that's why the parents and the teachers always say, well, it's a wastage of time. No. When things are too simple, you can be sure they are not. Most of us are lost in our thoughts more often than not. Without knowing we are daydreaming, without doing, without deliberate action. But there's a massive difference between 10 minutes of distraction and a dedicated block of thought and rumination. I'm talking of the dedicated block of time. Take it as a 1 hour, 1.5 hour, or 2 hours. I think 2 hours is optimum when you can let the things come out of your mind and then let them soak back into you So there's an optimum utilization of your thought and your energy, and the ideas would be broken up and then they'll be reassembled. It's like a kaleidoscope. Your mind would be like a kaleidoscope. It will break and create new images every time. And let me be honest, no matter how busy you think you are, no matter. And when people said, well, I'm just too busy to do something, I know that man is absolutely useless. When a man takes an excuse of being too busy and cannot do anything, you can be sure that you're wasting your time on trivial things which do not matter. And those things do not add anything to your life. If an average person can spend 2 hours a day on social media, a few hours a week to organize your visit, organize your life, it's not a big task. How many times you are on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Reddit? There are hundreds of them. On Tumblr. How many of you? And you spend a couple of hours on that, or 3 or 4 or 5 hours. So, what's the problem in spending 2 hours on your mind? Anything elastic, if you keep it stacked, loses elasticity, so is your mind. Why do you want your mind to lose elasticity? So the 2-hour genius rule is, restores the elasticity to your mind. Is it too big a price to pay for being more creative and more capable person? Who knows? You might find, if you follow this 2-hour genius rule, to be a life-changing concept for you. Try it. And let me tell you, you may not become a genius, but you'll definitely be better than what you are today. Try it for 6 months. And then you would see that what I'm telling you today is a definite road to progress, and at the same time, if you're a parent, stop nagging your children not to daydream. Let them daydream. Let them bloom. Let them emanate all the fragrance of the creativity that they can. And if you follow this 2-hour genius rule, you would find it's worth the effort. Thank you.